coming.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, man. Such short notice.
No problem at all.
When did you realize you wanted to become an actor?
When did I first realize I wanted to be an actor? Well, if I had to really reflect on it, it would be close to when I was about 4 or 5 years old. You know, I for the first time I saw movies like Bill Paxton's Twister and Leonardo DiCaprio's Titanic with Kate Winslet in them. There's something about it. I was sitting there watching it as a little kid, and as a kid, pretend was my favorite game. I'd always sit there and I'd try and be something that I wasn't. And because of that, I felt like, you know, I could do anything that I wanted.
Basically, I consider pretend for grown-ups. You know, you can sit there and forget about everything else that's going on with your life, and not only are you having the thrill of entertaining, but you take on someone else's role.
You sit there and you just take on a whole nother face. And it's really interesting. And a lot of the stuff that you learn as well, depending on the role you get, I've always found it absolutely fascinating.
But there's those movies that always stick with you, and they always, you know, make you think that, you know, maybe there's more to life than just my perfect little situation here.
I have to say my favorite roles would be more towards the historical dramas. I've always been a huge fan of like The Tudors, Black Sails, stuff like that. Like, you know, they got more the historic oriented shows.
But then there's also, you know, I mean, you have to have comedy. Comedy is essential, not just for just for film, but just for the soul. Well, it's kind of interesting. I've had plenty of people ask me, what was your first performance? Like, what was your, you know, first big performance? And to be completely honest, I actually don't remember. First performance that I kind of have a pretty decent memory of that involved like a large crowd. I think it was my first. It was a talent show. I was like 4th or 5th grade, and at the time, for still a huge history buff, I was watching this movie from '91, '92 called Memphis Belle, which happens to have Matthew Modine, Harry Connick Jr., you know, and the scene that I took, it was basically Harry Connick Jr. plays this, he's a tail gunner, the bomber. He's from New Orleans, and he plays, you know, he's got that jazzy piano style and that silky Frank Sinatra voice. I wanted to portray it myself. I wanted to see if I could at least attempt it. So for the talent show, I did the same thing. I brought the microphone stand down, I got down on one knee, and I started singing. I didn't have a cigarette behind my ear, but I mean, 4th, 5th grade, that's understandable, I guess. But no, I just started singing, and once I finished, everybody seemed to be pretty happy.
Everybody talks about something, the fun that they want to do for the rest of their lives, whether it be a career or not. You know, it's something that they can, you know, look back on and say that, you know, they were responsible for their own successes. I look at acting and I get this, you know, butterfly tingly feeling in the pit of my stomach every time. Even if it was large sums of money, it wouldn't be that. It's the fact, like I said earlier, that you can just become somebody else and just focus in on something that's not your everyday life. And if you are paid to do that every single day, then hell, why not? I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. You know, any other passion that people come across every single day in their lives, it's just like, well, man, I'm just going to give it a shot, see what happens, and hopefully it'll turn out for the best, and maybe I'll look back on this and just be happy, even if it takes the rest of my life.